I didn't have plans for this weekend, but Underdog just dropped a $5 tournament. They actually just dropped two separate $5 tournaments. The Slow Puppy and the Fast Puppy. This literally just dropped, already over 10,000 entrants, and I don't know how many hours. But yeah, this $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $200,000 for first, $100,000 for second, $50,000 for third. We actually had a member of the flock a few years ago win a puppy tournament. So let's go ahead. Let's get in here, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully I can take this tournament down this season. But yeah, I mean, this is, in my mind, probably the best tournament for you if you are new to Underdog. They have the 20-second timer available and the 8-hour timer as well if you wanted to do that. I'm not a big 8-hour timer fan. I prefer the fast ones. That's just me. But thank you so much, everybody, coming out. Hassan says, Mason looking handsome tonight. I was thinking I was looking extra bald tonight. Not going to lie. Hairline not looking hot right now. But thank you. I appreciate the boost in confidence, my friend. Crispy Cylinder out here at pick 4. Malik, pick 10. Austin, the 101. Cade, and you're at 9. GC out here at pick 6. Good luck to everybody. Let's freaking go. And pick 11, I've had actually had a decent amount of drafts at pick 11 today. Wasn't super upset because with pick 11, I think I had 2 separate drafts where I was able to go Garrett Wilson, then Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that they are fine options if you are looking at the 1-2 turn. But, yeah, let's see. Ken Perry, or a.k.a. Katy Perry, in here with us at pick 5. Welcome. And I am happy to be with y'all. But P47W, coming out with a massive donut, says, from one Ironman to another, saw your video. Keep up the great work. Keep inspiring. My friend, appreciate you so damn much. Thank you. And please fill me in on your Ironman story. What's the background here, my guy? How many have you done? Where'd you do it? I've done one. I'm actually wearing, I did a half Ironman and then a full one. I'm actually wearing a half Ironman Texas shirt right now. Yeah, I'm repping, my guy. But let me know your backstory. Let's hear it. But Bijan makes it all the way down to pick 9. I'm actually in a slow $500 draft on Underdog at the moment. And in that draft for me, I had Bijan Robinson fall down to 9 as well, and I was picked 10. I was shaking, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get Bijan. Didn't work out. Instead, we ended up getting Puka. It is what it is. Here in this draft, we go Garrett Wilson. And the follow it up at pick 14, I probably want to be going with the player that's not going to get drafted with Garrett Wilson very often. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Brandon Ayuk. Now, I want to reiterate, is Brandon Ayuk my highest ranked wide receiver out of Harrison, London, Olave, Waddle, Adams? I don't think it matters. I think they're all about the same. I think it's a big flat tier. Your personal preference. Ayuk may not be my number 1 ranked guy, but say we were to go through and we were to take Harrison, there'll be a lot of other teams based off the way that ADP is set up currently that start off this draft with Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison, or Garrett Wilson and Jonathan Taylor. But if we reach on Brandon Ayuk, who's at like the bottom end of that tier for us, one, we know no Brandon Ayuk team's ever going to get built where Brandon Ayuk falls down to pick 35. He's never going to fall that far. And 2, there aren't going to be a lot of Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk combos in the overall tournament. So if it's a flat tier, I'm fine going through, reaching for it. But yeah, real quick, just in case if you are new here, I don't know how many of y'all there could possibly be, but we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is what I do every single night. I'm going to be doing this all freaking week now that they have a $5 tournament live. And yeah, it's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And yeah, if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find a link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you would get my 2024 fantasy football draft guide. If you use code FLOCK, you would get my 2024 fantasy football rankings, and you would get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. I would say, honestly, now's probably the best time to hop on Underdog. One, because they have the $5 puppy tournament live, and two, because there's a special pick'em for the home run derby. Gunnar Henderson, more than less than half a total home run that they're offering as well to celebrate the home run derby. So make sure you take advantage. Now, Jack says, what shoes did you run in the Ironman? I ran in the Saucony Endorphin Elite. So I ran in carbon plated shoes, which I actually had a pretty good marathon time for the Ironman. My marathon, obviously, if I would have ran a marathon just by itself and not doing an Ironman before, I maybe would have been disappointed with it. But I ran the marathon like 3 hours and 40 minutes, 3 hours 45, something like that. But I don't think we have P47W with their Ironman background. But I would love to hear it, my friend in the chat. Or maybe we do. No, not yet. Hopefully we get it soon. Okay. Tannen says, wanting to start an Underdog account, how do I ensure I get your guide in a 50% discount? So it's not a 50% discount, my friend. It's like if you were to say deposit $50 on Underdog, it's a 50% deposit bonus. So if you deposit like $50 on Underdog, then they're going to add an extra 25 in your account for free. So then you'd have 75 in your account. So it's not like I don't know what a discount would be like that. But yeah, all you have to do is go through the link in the description, comment section, live chat. It's anywhere. If you use code FLOCK, that's what's going to guarantee that you get that set up. Specifically for the draft guide, once it's completed, which I'm hoping to be in a few weeks. I just talked to the designer yesterday. We're going to get some mock-ups pretty soon. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get all the email addresses for everybody that's used code FLOCK on Underdog in 2024, and I'm going to directly email you free site access to get my updated rankings live, and then also directly email you the draft guide access as well. So and of course I'll be making the announcements on the channel and stuff when that stuff does drop. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Travis Kelce at 38. I've been doing a lot of eliminator drafts, and in there I'm not going with an elite tight end as often because I like drafting 3 of them. But specifically for these style contests where we are trying to maximize the most upside we can, I will only want to have to draft 2 tight ends. So I do still grab a lot of Laporta, a lot of Travis Kelce at the 3-4 turn. Crispy Cylinder says, rankings for best ball and redraft. Yes. Yes. Okay. BP says, Ayuk the most likely player to get traded right now. Definitely the most trade buzz. For sure. And I've said this before, and I've actually drafted a lot of Ayuk. And I completely agree with this. The first part of this sentiment, BP says. Ayuk could get traded and his value could drop 2 rounds. So Ayuk right now has an ADP of about, I want to say 19 or so. And I agree. If Ayuk got sent to specific spots, if Brandon Ayuk got sent to Pittsburgh, if Brandon Ayuk got sent to Washington, which more likely than not is what would happen. Those sound to be the teams that are most likely. Then Brandon Ayuk all of a sudden is probably being drafted next to Michael Pittman Jr. He's probably falling 16, 17, 18, maybe even 20 picks in ADP if he goes to Washington. I'd say Terry McLaurin's falling 3 rounds minimum. I think Terry McLaurin's priced horribly as is. Now, if Ayuk somehow got dealt, Buffalo, if he somehow got dealt to the Chargers, then I think there's a different conversation to be had. But like I said, I think the most likely outcome is for Brandon Ayuk to be with the Niners. And then outside of that, it's most likely that he's in Washington. TRD says, do you think Lamb will get traded? I don't think Lamb will get traded. How many examples do we have of 24-year-old wide receivers stepping into their prime, getting traded because the team doesn't want to pay them? That were top 3 receivers in the NFL. I just don't know how often that happens. Let me see if I can find Brandon Ayuk betting odds for team in 2024. Brandon Ayuk odds for 2024. I can see his props, but I can't see his team odds. These are hypothetical odds from some random person in an article. I don't care about that at all. This random article I found. Ooh, real quick, probably going to take Keenan. This random article I found saying that the implied odds are minus 325 that he stays with the Niners. And that have him at about 76%. But like I said, that's a random article. I don't even think you can take that bet. This is a good point as well. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I agree with you, even though I have been taking a decent amount of Ayuk. Is another spot that could potentially make sense would be New England. And obviously, New England would be disgusting. So here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Anthony Richardson. Richardson, no-brainer pick here at 62 whenever we have Michael Pittman Jr. Here at 62, if we take Dell at the 3-4 turn instead, I would go CJ Stroud. But specifically on a Pittman team, if we're trying to turn $5 into $200,000, we've already taken Michael Pittman Jr. We need this Indianapolis Colts offense to be great. If we're going to turn $5 into $200,000, we probably need Anthony Richardson to be really good already. So might as well double dip, take him at pick 62. And yeah, we take Keenan Allen there at 59. Obviously, with the plans of when you go Pittman at 35, plan A is going to be going with Anthony Richardson at the 5-6 turn. But you have to understand that a big reason that his ADP is there is because the Pittman team usually takes him. So I was willing to roll the dice that the team there at 12 wasn't going to take Richardson from us. And I thought that if we were going to try to get a unique combo, the most unique possibility to try to stand out in a $5 tournament, $1 million prize pool, would be to go Keenan Allen round 5 and see if we got Anthony Richardson on the way back round 6, which is what happens. And I'm pretty good with it. But let me pull up what we actually have, because I do think that this Brandon Ayuk conversation is very interesting. And I'm sorry if I'm boring you with it. This will be the last thing that I look at. And I'll actually be able to pull this up on the screen for y'all as well. So y'all know Underdog has season-long pick'ems that you could go through, and you can take the higher lower. So, I mean, Underdog has to be somewhat respectable with these lines, and that they can't just be wild and egregious statements. So let me pull up Ayuk in comparison to some of the other round 2 wide receivers. So let's pull up Ayuk. Let's pull up Nico Collins. Ooh, the Nico pick'ems definitely higher than Ayuk. Let's pull up someone else. Let's pull up London and Harrison as well. See, these are all the guys that were right there. London, Harrison. Oh my gosh, Harrison's pick'ems are much higher than the other guys going here in round 2. I'm surprised for this. If I was actually going to go through and make some season-long pick'ems soon, I would not mind going with the lower on Harrison. Okay. JSN goes, clearly we want running backs to make it back to us here. Not inherently a guarantee that it's going to happen, but we'll see. But, ooh, there's Brandon Ayuk's face, just in case you didn't know what he looked like. Yeah, so right now, these are the pick'ems. You have Ayuk at 950 receiving yards, Nico at 1,050, London at 975, and Harrison at almost 1,100. Actually, really surprised to see the Harrison one. We're going to go ahead. We'll take Montgomery here at 83. I don't think many teams are going to get Montgomery falling this far. And clearly our roster is the team that needs a running back, right? So we're going to go ahead. We'll take Montgomery. We're going to take a running back on the way back around no matter what. And yeah, now that's Harris. I have way more Jonathan Brooks than Najee. You'll see that in pretty much every eliminator draft that I do, I will take Najee Harris over Jonathan Brooks. Just because Jonathan Brooks in the eliminator contest, someone that you should be avoiding. The reason that you draft Jonathan Brooks is specifically if we're going to try to maximize upside for weeks 15, 16, 17, which is something I'm for sure trying to do in this tournament style contest, the puppy. But the reason I'm not going to go Brooks over Harris specifically with this draft is we are so far behind at running back that I'm not trying to optimize just for running back upside. So you'll see me with other teams that maybe we took Jahmyr Gibbs there in round 1. And here at the 7-8 turn, I'm going, okay, I'm kind of fine with maybe sacrificing some running back points at the beginning of the season, but I just need to have that up. Here we can't, right? I mean, here, our one running back's David Montgomery. We just need some raw touches. We need some raw volume. So we can go ahead. We can take Najee Harris at 86. Okay. And yes, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. The almighty Hat Center says, Underdog being disrespectful with that projection. Let me know which projection they are being disrespectful for. Observations of Lies says a lot of odds makers lowered Terry McLaurin's projection from 1,000 to 900. I can pull up where McLaurin is for y'all on Underdog. If McLaurin's at 1,000, I would slam the lower. Slam it. Yeah, Terry's at 900 receiving yards. 900.5 receiving yards on Underdog and 4.5 receiving touchdowns. And I will say, I know the natural reaction for a lot of people is to see one of those pick'ems and go, oh my gosh, Terry McLaurin's easily going to have over 4.5 receiving touchdowns. And then going and slamming the higher on it. With the season-long pick'ems in particular, I always look to take the lower side. That way you have a little bit of safety in terms of injuries. Now, that doesn't mean I'm just blindly taking every lower on Underdog, of course. It means that, if I'm looking at taking season-long pick'ems, I'm never going to be looking for guys that I think are projected too low. I'm going to be thinking about how we can find guys that are maybe projected to be a little too high. Okay. Romeo Dobbs off the board. Let's swing this around. Obviously, we're still looking at running back here. We're sitting with David Montgomery, Najee Harris. Not a surprise to anybody that we still need running backs. Yeah, but quarterback, we have Richardson. Running back, we have David Montgomery, Najee Harris. Wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen. And tight end, we have Travis Kelce. Christian says, just got St. Brown, Ayuk, Kyron, and Higgins in the first 4 rounds. Love that, my friend. One of my favorite starts right now in Underdog is going wide receiver, Kyron Williams. Dak goes 105. I have noticed Jaden Daniels falling down draft boards a considerable amount. We're still playing catch up here at running back, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Tony Pollard. I don't know what the real upside is for Pollard, but at this point, we don't necessarily need to just be thinking about upside. We need to be thinking about, okay, how can we get just points in this lineup? Henry says, the Niners took Lance over Chase. Think on that one. True, but Mason took a lot of Trey Lance in round 18 of best ball last year. And we can forget what the Niners did, but we can't forget what Mason did. Oh, dear God. Singletary off the board, 109. We could go Goddard. The thing, honestly, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Brock Purdy, and we're going to call it a day with 2 quarterbacks. We'll have Purdy stacked up with Ayuk. We'll have Richardson stacked up with Pittman. I do think that we're going to see a teardrop at QB pretty soon. And a lot of times I'm on this side of the board. I'm kind of holding off, waiting for Jared Goff later. Because with Goff, a lot of times you'll have like, say, Gibbs and Laporta here, which that team at 12 does. So I'm assuming that they're going to be targeting Jared Goff later on. But yeah, well, you should see some quarterbacks go by the time we're back up on the clock again. I think Purdy's in the best situation in the NFL. The Niners are currently projected to score the most points in the NFL this next season. Thomas says, 12-team PPR keeper. I have the 101 and taking CMC. Should we keep Brees in the 6th or Lamb in the 2nd? Ooh, this is a good question, my friend. I'm sure you've heard me say before that 9 times out of 10, you should just go ahead and you should just keep the best player. But if it's a one-player keeper, that 212 pick is more like, say, like the 305. So the question is essentially, would we rather have, call it, DJ Moore and Brees Hall or CeeDee Lamb? Would we rather have Devonta Smith and Brees Hall or CeeDee Lamb? I don't know. If it's, say, a 10-team start 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, so it's just the most shallow thing ever, who cares? Just keep CeeDee Lamb. Just keep Lamb and then start off CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey. And say, we don't care about depth. It's a super shallow format. If it's like a 12-team league where you start 3 receivers and 2 flexes, then I think maybe it's a little bit different. Crypto Pooper says, Underdog suspended my account and gave me no reason. The most likely reason if your account got suspended, and this is a question that we get all the time, is people go, oh, okay, in these Underdog tournaments, why don't I just get in a draft with all my buddies and then draft a super team? I'll have them all draft guys like Ronald Jones in round 1, and then I'll walk away with Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, et cetera, et cetera. So Underdog has a bunch of things in play to monitor any type of like illegal play or any type of unfair play in these tournaments. So your account probably got flagged, maybe with drafting with another one a ton. And I'm sure if you reach out to Underdog, you can get it sorted out. Obviously, I have no idea what you may or may not have did. So all I can say is reach out to Underdog, my friend. Okay. So I was hoping that we were going to get a response from P47W. But no. I have not seen one. I control-F'd it. Still didn't see. BP says, Crypto Pooper is an op. You're not helping yourself with the name Crypto Pooper. I'm going to be straight with you, my guy. Ken Perry says, Jesus, man, Katy Perry is building a team that will feed families. We'll check out Katy Perry's team in a second. I saw Katy Perry had a new song. It was all over Twitter. I have not listened. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But we'll check out Katy Perry's team in a second. Okay, we're going to go Judy, 131, and then we're going to follow it up with the running back. Can y'all spam the chat? Would you rather have Eckler or Ford? Personally, I would probably rather have Austin Eckler than Jerome Ford. But please spam the chat on who you'd rather have. Let me see if they have pick'ems out for either guy. They have Austin Eckler, higher, lower, 400 receiving yards and 400 rushing yards. Everybody in the chat saying Ford. If y'all... There will be hell to pay. I will remember this one live stream. If Eckler comes out and somehow is the RB20 this season, I'll remember this live stream. I'll be coming for y'all. But Katy Perry drafting out here at 5. Let's go out. Let's check her team. So St. Brown, Evans, Cup, Pacheco. I personally, especially if you've already gone 3 wide receivers straight, 3 wide receivers out the gate with St. Brown, Evans, Cup. I personally would rather have Kincaid over Hollywood. Like, I think there's a chance that Kincaid outscores Hollywood straight up. And then obviously tight end points are harder to come by. And I wouldn't even mind having Kincaid and Kittle paired together. Ladd, Samir, Bowers. I mean, yeah, I love the team. Really like the Javonte pick. I almost took Javonte where we took Purdy. And then getting Goff there to pair up with St. Brown. Yeah, really solid squad. Okay. Henry says, what a fall to go from the first round to the 12th round in 1 year. It is a fall for Austin Eckler. What a 139. I'm going to draft a lot of Austin Eckler at this price. Let me see if Underdog is pick'ems for other guys in this range. Usually they want it. No pick'em for Ford. No pick'em for Charbonnet. No pick'em for Lloyd. There's no way they have, but yeah, no pick'em for Chubb. What about guys like Gus Edwards? No, like the only pick'em that they have for like any running back that's near, like ranked this low, is Austin Eckler. They actually have Zeke at 5.5 rushing touchdowns and 525.5 rushing yards. Okay. Observations of Life says Eckler is so slow, a lineman could chase him down. I think everybody and their mom has seen the clip of Eckler from last year where he hit like his fastest run where he hit 13 miles per hour. Seems like it's maybe priced in. I don't know. We'll see. Henry says, that's my call this year. Zeke, double-digit touchdowns. If Zeke does hit double-digit touchdowns, he's one of the best picks in drafts at the moment. Not saying it's going to happen. Not saying he is one of the best picks in drafts at the moment, but if that were to occur. Okay, Musgrave. King says, ever watch Eckler's Edge with Harmon? Might be kind of weird now that he's not considered a stud anymore. One, I've never seen it. And two, I don't think it would be weird at all. It's like me saying, like, if Ezekiel Elliott reached out to me and he was like, hey, man, I'd love to do a fantasy football show with you. I go, psh, you freaking kidding me, guy? Maybe 5 years ago, but now you're over the hill. You got nothing good to say. Like, that'd be crazy, of course. So I don't think it'd be weird at all that Eckler has a fantasy show with him not being an elite athlete anymore. I know everybody here in this live stream right now clearly prefers, and I get it. I completely understand why. But y'all clearly prefer watching a show run by an elite athlete still in his prime, yours truly. I get it. And maybe you wouldn't want to watch something with Austin Eckler's, someone that's a mediocre athlete. But I think we're going to reach on Chuba. I don't know. I think Jalen Wright and Vidal continue to fall down ADP. It feels weird taking Chuba and Ford on the same team because, like, they're the same guy. They're both running backs that project out to have opportunities early on the year, that their roles should most likely shrink as the season goes on, where they probably aren't going to be super productive options in weeks 15, 16, 17. So really, if this team wanted to have any shot to do anything in the tournament, what we would need for weeks 15, 16, 17 is we would specifically need a Gibbs injury at the end of the year and Montgomery to turn into a top 5 running back in fantasy. That's what we would need. Henry says, serious question. Eckler plays fantasy football and always takes himself in the first round. Is he really doing it this year? If I was Austin Eckler, serious question. Okay. Everybody, put yourself in these shoes. You are Austin Eckler. You are going to do a fantasy football draft. What round do you draft yourself? Please spam the chat. What round are you drafting yourself in? I know the answer for me. I'll let y'all know, but I want to hear y'all's opinion. We got 10 to 11, 18th, 7, a round above ADP. How much do y'all think Austin Eckler actually cares about fantasy football? BP says round 1. This is the correct answer. Like, obviously, I've never talked to Eckler. But I don't think he actually cares enough where he goes, based off my lack of speed at this point, I still probably want to have me on my team just so I can say I do, but I really want to win this league. So I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get myself. No. Here's what you do if you're Eckler. You go, I am making millions of dollars a year. I'm an NFL player. I started out as a UDFA. You take yourself round 1. Are you kidding me? How much? What was Eckler's last contract? I don't think Eckler cares about his fantasy football league that much where he's not taking himself round 1 because he's afraid to lose. Eckler's Washington contract, not good. We all know that. $4.2 million guaranteed. Not good for a running back. You're making $4.2 million still. How do I find his old contract? I know how to find current contracts. Let's just look up career earnings. His last contract with LA, he had $15 million in guarantees. It's a $24.5 million deal. I don't know how much. He at least made $15 million from it. And this one, he's at least making $4 million. Maybe a little bit more. So we can say Eckler's made probably a little over $20 million in his career. And Yahoo, God knows what Yahoo's paying him. Let's just assume that Yahoo's paying him half of what Flock Fantasy is paying me. And if they're paying him half of what Flock Fantasy pays me, he's getting an additional like $15 million a year just off his fantasy football show. So yeah, he's doing fine. He can afford to draft himself round 1. Riga says, happy BR Superflex side and premium 12-team dynasty. Trade away Smith and Ingram for Kelsey, DK, and a third. No, I'm definitely going to keep Devonta Smith and Evan Ingram here. I think Smith is a completely different tier than DK in dynasty in particular. Okay, we need one more running back. That's for sure. We need another tight end. That's for sure. I don't know what else we need. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Kate Otten here to pair up with a Mr. Travis Kelce. So we have 3 rounds left. We know we want one more running back. We waited till 83 to take our first RB. We know we want at least one more receiver. We need 7 wide receivers on this team and at least one more tight end. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Malachi Corley. Well, we have Garrett Wilson, so we'll just go ahead and we'll make the concentrated call on this Jets offense. And then on the way back around, we're for sure going to take at least one more running back the 17-18 turn. And maybe we go with the 3rd tight end. I don't know. Probably just this 8th wide receiver. But yeah, currently wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, Quentin Johnston, Malachi Corley. Quarterback, we have Anthony Richardson stacked up with Michael Pittman Jr. We have Brock Purdy stacked up with Brandon Ayuk. Tight end, we have Travis Kelce and Kate Otten. Running back, we have David Montgomery, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard. So, very weird team. Honestly, my least favorite thing about this team is I think I probably should have taken Eckler over Ford. I think the mistake that we made with this team was pairing together Ford and Chuba, 2 running backs that have limited long-term upside, but the production at the beginning of the season. I think you want one of those guys. Maybe in an eliminator contest, Ford and Chuba make a lot of sense, but specifically in a puppy, like what are we accomplishing here? I think you kind of have to pick your lane between the 2. I don't know if we could go with both of them. So maybe the mistake was we should have gone with Jalen Wright instead of Chuba Hubbard, or the mistake was we should have gone with Austin Eckler instead of Jerome Ford. Let's see. Let's move this down. VRC says it wouldn't be a flock stream without Henry forcing me to hit the like button against my will without consent. Y'all have no idea how much I pay Henry to do that. The most expensive employee of Flock Fantasy by far away is Henry. His one job is to show up to the live stream every night and remind people to hit the like button. Henry is also paying a few assistants like Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney obviously needs a new job. Looks like his former profession didn't really work out, so now he's picking up some part-time work. And I don't even know what the title. We need to figure out the official title for the role. Like reminder? I don't know. There are obviously, Teresa is the supervisor of this department, making sure that Henry is doing his work. I guess you can apply for it. You're going to have to send your application to Teresa, though. Okay, so we for sure want at least one more running back. And then from there, I think it's, okay, what are we doing? I don't know. We could do anything with our round 18 pick. We're going to take Tracy and go, oh, I don't even know what we would say. Oh, my gosh, what if he takes over for Singletary at the end of the year? Who cares? He's like a 25-year-old rookie running back in one of the worst offenses in the league. Okay. Wide receiver, we have Wilson, Ayuk, Pittman, Keenan, Judy. I think we have to draft another receiver. No, I'm not going to do it. We're going to take Juwan. Make fun of me. Yes, go for it. I should have taken another receiver. I get it. There's no reason for us to take a third tight end. It's just we get to round 18. I go, what wide receiver am I possibly taking here? Am I really taking another Sheriff, DJ Chark? Ray says, what's up, Mason? I have the 105 in my favorite redraft league. Double flex. Are we leaning with a top receiver, Brees Bijan? It's so tough, my friend. If you get Lamb or Tyreek, I would be going Lamb or Tyreek. But if it's like Jefferson or Brees Hall, Jefferson or Bijan, or Chase and Bijan, I think you can go ahead. I think you can take the running back. But we will fire up another draft. We did not hit 300 likes on the stream. I will point that out because I'll be honest with y'all. This next puppy draft we're going to do, same thing, $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool. I may not finish this on the live stream. I told my girlfriend I would give her a ride somewhere in about 20 minutes. So we may have to do half of this on stream, half of this off stream. But you can just trust me on the fact that I'm going to have a very, very solid draft, and I will not ruin it. Okay. Bill says Claypool sleeper in the 18th. I understand the Claypool thought process, but it's so hard to get there. Vinzeev says Juwan Jennings was the pick there. I would be firing up a ton of Jennings in round 18 if it wasn't for the fact they just drafted another round 1 wide receiver. Okay. Angel says, not in this one, but cursed with 9. It's all good, my friend. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's pull this up. I am going to take Christian McCaffrey. Y'all have seen me in a few of these go CeeDee Lamb at 1 just because I do think it's so much easier to draft a wide receiver in round 1 this year than it is a running back. But let me pull up the freaking Christian McCaffrey pick'ems for you. Christian McCaffrey right now in Underdog. Higher, lower, 11.5 rushing touchdowns. Higher, lower, 5.5 receiving touchdowns. So 16 total touchdowns. Higher, lower, 500 receiving yards. Higher, lower, 1175 rushing yards. So the current projections have McCaffrey averaging a touchdown a game, 100 total yards a game. Seems crazy, but hell, he's done it before. All you essentially need is him to stay healthy. Hell, last year, I believe it was like 120 total yards a game. So if we full-blown fade CMC, we could just get straight up crushed. Now, looking at the NFL 2024 season exposures that I have on Underdog at the moment, I currently have Christian McCaffrey in 3% of leagues, and I have CeeDee Lamb at 10%. So I probably will be underweight Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. It's so hard to say it. The Almighty Hat Center says over 11.5 rushing touchdowns is a lock. This is what I'm telling you. You're going to get in trouble if you think just going higher on all the pick'ems is a good idea. Because what happens if CMC misses a month? He doesn't even have to get like injured. He doesn't even have to be a serious injury. So what happens if he misses 8 games? But yeah, if we're looking at McCaffrey, 21 touchdowns this past year. 13 touchdowns the season prior, but obviously you had 11 games in San Fran. In those 11 games, he had 6 rushing touchdowns. So honestly, if I'm looking at 11.5 rushing touchdowns being a lock for Christian McCaffrey, he's now going to his age 28 season. And he's had 2 years in his NFL career with 12 or more. Obviously, he's in the best offense he's ever played in. Much better than Carolina. But still. Just letting you know. Do not look at those underdog pick'ems. And I will tell you right now, every single one, you're going to think, oh, yeah, of course he's getting that. Of course Christian McCaffrey's going to have 12 rushing touchdowns. There's a lot of randomness in football. Okay. Henry says, I was listening to XM today, and Jeff Mann says Chase number 1 and said CMC is the most risky number 1 overall pick in fantasy football history. Oh, my gosh. What? Let me look up who this is. Jeff Mams. Mans or Mams? Mans. Okay. Ooh, we auto Deebo Samuel. Actually, I'm fine with that. We need to go wide receiver. Maybe this is the team we go, what if Ayuk gets dealt? And then you obviously get a big bump for both these guys. We can look at Purdy a little later on. Jeff Mams. Followed by Underdog Fantasy, award-winning SiriusXM sports host, owner of Fantasy Guru. $140,000 posts on Twitter. How can you have the time for 140,000 posts on Twitter? Okay. Derrick Henry goes at 26. Super interesting to see that team at 2 go Lamb, Kyron, Henry. Y'all know I'm not a big Derrick Henry fan this year in round 3. I think in underdog drafts in particular, I'm waiting to take Henry till round 4. But if you're looking at a unique combo, there are not going to be many teams at all that have a combination of CeeDee Lamb, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry. That is super interesting. Obvious says, HN's going way too high. Give me Josh Jacobs over him. I will say at cost, I agree with you 1,000%. rankings wise, I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy at all for saying Jacobs over Achane. I'm not going to rank it that way. I'll tell you, I'm going to rank it Achane over Jacobs. But okay. Penix says Lamb is almost just perfect. 0 red flags. That is prime elite talent, great quarterback, great team, and almost no. Yeah, I would agree with this. So I think, like, I completely understand saying, like, oh, Christian McCaffrey, given the age and the drop-off that you historically have at running backs at age 28, I understand someone going, oh, I'm not a big CMC at 1 guy. But to go Chase at 1? Chase at 1 is a little aggressive. But that's probably what I need to do here. For me to start farming some engagement, here's what... Between you and me, I'm going to put out a rankings video next week. I'm going to have Breece Hall at 1 overall. Between you and me, I don't believe it. To you and me, I wouldn't put it that way. But, oh boy. We will get people talking. We will get YouTube comments. And I guess we can start farming engagement. Obviously, I'm joking. For the love of God, do not think I'm being serious. Kadarius Sonnen says... Been seeing a lot of people super high on Dell, super low on Diggs. I mean, yeah, you see that with ADP, with how it's flipped. I mean, here, Tank Dell goes before Stephon Diggs. And Tank Dell used to go in late round 4 of underdog drafts, and Stephon Diggs was going early round 3. And I am for sure going to have more Stephon Diggs than Tank Dell at these costs. I'm not as low on Tank Dell as I was previously, just because we went through and looked. What I was most surprised with writing up stuff for this year's draft guide regarding Tank Dell is I was most surprised by his intended air yards per game. Dell was sitting at over 100 intended air yards per game. As a wide receiver that weighs I almost weigh as much as him. So I was surprised to see the usage that way. It definitely made me think about Dell in a different light. But Ethan says, when does the draft guide come out? Just met with the designer of the draft guide yesterday. I still need to do the write-ups for all the players. I've done all the advanced statistical research. And it's just helped me so much with my own drafts, specifically making videos, because now I can just go into like all my files that we have for players and go, okay, I want to talk about, say, Malik Neighbors. I can pull everything that I have for Malik Neighbors and go, perfect. So I got all that stuff done. I just need to do all the write-ups, which write-ups are just such a small part of it and kind of boring, but it can be useful to add context to the situation and numbers. A says, how much does off-field relationship matter to you? I saw the talk show with CJ and Dell, and they look like besties. I think when we get into that kind of conversation, it's just not provable in any realistic sense. If y'all see my videos, my analysis, and what I've historically done with fantasy football is I will present all the research for like, oh, okay, here's how being in a bottom 5 offense impacts your range of outcomes. Here's what a typical profile for a wide receiver looks like. That was a round 1 pick that went through and had this type of rookie season. And then I'll go through and show the historical outcomes over the past 25 years of what's happened. We'll try to add context and look at the new situation that player's in and say, should we be treating this guy differently than what the historical norm is for this expectation? Everything I do in my videos, I try to prove to y'all, because I understand I'm just a random idiot on the internet. I know that. I'm just someone who was able to buy a microphone. That's it. And then start uploading videos on YouTube. So for me, I feel like everything that I do, I have to prove to you that it matters, that I'm not just rambling about absolutely nothing. where if you get in the realm of, oh, they really like each other. Draft Troy Franklin because him and Bo Nix are friends. It's like, how can I prove to you that, one, that's true in the first place? Like, how can I prove to you that CJ Stroud likes Tank Dell any more than he likes Nico Collins? Any more than he'll like Stephon Diggs, personally, as buddies? And even if I was able to prove, oh, okay, yeah, CJ Stroud is buddies with Tank Dell, but he doesn't like Nico Collins. Even if I was able to somehow prove that, how can we then evaluate how it impacts them from a fantasy football perspective? Now, one thing that I do know is J.J. McCarthy is best friends with Jordan Addison. J.J. McCarthy and Jordan Addison, I read it in People's Magazine earlier this offseason. It's very interesting. Addison already made McCarthy the godfather to his future children. And for that reason, I would be a fool to pass on Jordan Addison here. So we're going to go ahead. We'll take him 72. And we'll take JSN at 73. And obviously I'm joking. And I'm not saying that it doesn't matter at all that a player likes another player and maybe that makes him. It's just like, how do you prove that? How do you know? How do you actually know? Is what CJ Stroud's never going to do. And this is something that I think is always funny from like when people talk about press conferences. Is I think it's more like it's just entertainment, right? It's just more like it's like a soap opera when people go down this road. It's like after the NFL draft, CJ Stroud's interviewed. And they go, oh, hey, yeah, Tank Dell's going over to Houston too. What do you think about Tank? CJ Stroud can do one of two things. CJ Stroud can go, oh my gosh, I freaking love Tank. He's going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I wanted him here so badly. I'm so excited to play with him. He can do that. Or he can go, I've never really heard of the guy. I looked up some of his plays on YouTube. He doesn't really look that special. But yeah. No player will ever do option 2. Every player will always do option 1. Every player will always say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to play with him. We're best friends. Blah, blah, blah. So, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying just because there was a clip of it that got out to the public and one interview clip got a little more traction than another, doesn't mean like CJ Stroud loves Tank Dell way more than, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, let's use Anthony Richardson loving Michael Pittman. Or Lamar Jackson loving Zay Flowers. The Almighty Hat Center says Tyreek called 2 of them. But yes, this is a great example. Tyreek went from Kansas City to Miami, and he called 2 of the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. He went, I can't wait to play here with the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Now let's move this over. So, I mean, you can use it in your own drafts. I'm just saying, like, stuff like that. I'm not going to be putting it in videos. Maybe we add it on the very end. It's because how am I supposed to prove it in a video? It's opinion. It's not fact, you know? A-Rod says, I'm drinking a Topo Chico right now, too. My girlfriend and I were talking about this previously, but I do think Topo Chicos, I don't want to say they're probably the best sparkling water until they get me on their payroll. Topo Chico, you're more than welcome to be a sponsor of the channel. But let's just say they're not the worst sparkling water. Okay. Diddy Squats goes Jordan Love here. See what Matt decides to do. Goes Jaden Daniels. Did What happened in Minnesota? We get Jordan Addison at like wide receiver 42. We get Aaron Jones here at like running back 27. I don't exactly know what's going on. I will take it. I will be happy with it. And I'm probably going to go, you know what? I'm not going to go Tony Pollard here. I'm going to go Bowers instead to pair up with McBride. That way we're only having to take 2 tight ends, and we can go ahead and we can grab 3 quarterbacks relatively easily. I really like this team. Right now we have Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones at running back. Wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Tight end, we have McBride and Bowers. If you're looking for correlating pieces with this team, we have CMC, Deebo Samuel. We have Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison. And if we're looking for QB options that we can have later on, if Purdy were to make it to us at 120, Purdy auto pick for us having CMC and Deebo. Kyler, obviously, we did not get. We probably should have taken. I don't want to say we should have. Kyler should have at least been considered there instead of Jackson Smith-Njigba. If Kyler would have made it to us at 96, it would have been no-brainer. He just never makes it that far. But I'm Dylan. We're going to do a lot more like ESPN style videos when we get closer to the season. So probably later this month. Okay. So after this, I mean, we have a very balanced team. We have 4 receivers, 3 running backs, 2 tight ends. I mean, obviously, we're going with the pseudo bully tight end here. If you have not had a chance to watch our tight end draft strategy video, I would recommend it. Let me text my girlfriend and ask her what time we should leave. Angel says, top 5 draft position is such a big advantage through the first 5 rounds. I agree with you. It feels so much better. Okay, Purdy goes 110 to the team who took Kittle. So I'm obviously not going to sit here and cry about it, but it would have been nice to get Purdy. Now, if we're looking at quarterbacks that could potentially make it to us here in 6 picks, Trevor Lawrence could have potentially made it. Lawrence doesn't. The next 2 guys, if we were to really want to reach on quarterback, would be Tua and Jared Goff. If you're looking at our potential stacks, we don't have any Dolphins. We don't have any Lions. So they probably don't make much sense. Javonte, auto pick for us at 120. After Javonte, I think we are going to go Mike Williams. Mike Williams has been falling in ADP a considerable amount. But the thing is, 1, we know we want at least 1 wide receiver here at the turn. And 2, once we get to this point and we don't have a quarterback, we for sure need to be setting up additional potential stacks later on for our roster. Jacoby Myers, there's no potential stack there. Jerry Jeudy's been falling a ton of drafts as of late as well. So we can go Mike Williams, 121. And we can go Rodgers later on. A-Rod says, do you know what the entry fee is going to be for the flock tournament? I will get you all the flock tournament stuff in 1 second. Oh, and just a reminder, as I have y'all here. Couple of big announcements. 1, flock meetup, locked and loaded. August 22nd. It's a Thursday, Austin, Texas. You better be there. If you're coming from out of town and you get a hotel, shoot me a DM and I'll hook you up with a free ticket. Tickets are only going to be like $10 or whatever. But anyway, you'll get a free one. Second thing is, bunch of fantasy football YouTubers going to be there. We're setting up a new fantasy football YouTube league that should be super exciting, super high stakes. It's going to be, and we're going to have a channel to go along with it as well. This is going to be a channel that isn't like, oh, you should draft these 5 running backs. It's more so going to be like entertainment, behind the scenes stuff, us going through, recapping the league, looking at moves that were made in the league and everything. So I'll send that link to the new channel in the live chat right now. If y'all are interested, we just spam that. It's the link that got sent 5 times. And lastly, let me get y'all the Flock tournament set up on. Oh, we just got a new subscriber on that channel. Just got the notification on the phone. Thank you, Chef, for subscribing to the new channel. But let me get the new Flock tournament details. What I sent over is 4,800 entry tournament, $10 buy-in, 3 max entry. So you're only going to get 3 shots in the tournament. And I think we're going to do a few tournaments through the rest of the offseason. Weeks 1 through 14, 1 out of 12 advance. Week 15, 1 out of 2 advance. Week 16, 1 out of 2 advance. Week 17, 100-person final. So I think it should be a ton of fun. Okay. Now let's move this over. So obviously we are on red alert for quarterbacks at this point. Quarterbacks that are next available to us in ADP, anywhere close. You have Kirk Cousins. We don't have any Falcons. We have Stafford. We don't have any Rams. We have Rodgers at 161. Oh, god dang. I'm not going to lie to you. I was wanting to go with Cousins and then Darnell Mooney here. But no longer an option. I know it's gross. Ooh. We almost missed him. We're going to go Quentin Johnson at 145. I understand. Yes, it's disgusting. I think Sticky Ricky would have been a very interesting pick. And have Ricky, CMC, Debo all in the same squad. And say, what happens if Ayuk gets dealt and all these guys rise? Obviously, CMC can't rise anymore, but still. But the thing is, we've put ourselves in such a hole at quarterback. We need to find QB. And if we're looking at our setup, now we could potentially go Baker. We could potentially go McCarthy. We could potentially go Geno, Rodgers, Herbert. Quentin Johnston opens up the door for us to go with Justin Herbert. Where if we didn't have to concern ourselves with that, I think we would have gone with Sticky Ricky. And like I said, plan A there, we were going to go Cousins, Mooney, exactly what the team there at 2 does. Chef, the newest member, newest subscriber, says, always appreciate the streams and info. I'll be looking to play best ball this season. I'll be flocked in. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much for sticking with us for so damn long now. Ow. Okay. Hawkinson goes 155. I love Hawkinson's price specifically in this tournament. In the Eliminator, I never draft him, but here I think he does make a ton of sense. A-Rod says, is the fantasy league going to be open to the public? The fantasy league's going to be a 12-team league. It's going to have, as of now, 2 guys from Fantasy Stock Exchange, myself. It's going to have 2 guys from Fantasy Land. It's going to have 2 guys from Fantasy Domain. We're at 7. We're going to have my main editor on the YouTube channel. We're going to have the 3 developers of flockfantasy.com. There's 1 spot left in the 12-team league that I think we're going to have a surprise guest for y'all, which should be really exciting. But, so no. It's going to be like a, there aren't any spots available for, maybe we can do like satellite leagues or something in the future, but not the plan for now. Okay. Ken Perry says I vote it's Katy Perry. We would never invite that bum Ken Perry in here. But if we could get Katy Perry, whew, the 12th person that we're thinking right now would get booted in a heartbeat for Katy Perry. Kate says invite Scissors. Scissors may be invited. Good idea. Good idea. I hate my quarterbacks as well. We're going to go ahead. We will take Baker to pair up with Evans. We'll take... Oh, do we just want to take... Let me pull up something real quick. Ooh, let's go fast. Fast. Okay. Just what I thought. Just wanted to confirm that Bucky Irving was a solid receiving back. He is. Man had almost 60 receptions his final season in college. So we will go with Baker and Bucky. VRC says, tough for me not to take a running quarterback early on. Going to have access to those IPs. I agree with you. Typically, we are targeting the elite level quarterback. Like in our previous draft of this, we went Anthony Richardson and Brock Purdy. The thing is, if you look at this draft board for where we were at, our options for quarterback, at the 4-5 turn, we could have reached around on Anthony Richardson unstacked. Obviously, you're never doing it. Hindsight 2020, if you know you completely get boxed out at quarterback, maybe consider it, but really, no, you're never doing that. 6-7 turn, we could have reached around on Kyler Murray's ADP, which potentially could have been a play because we have McBride, but we only had 2 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds. On Underdog, have to catch up on wide receiver through round 7, or you're going to get boxed out of the position. Pick 96-97. We could have reached around on Caleb Williams, unstacked. Man has an ADP of like 110. I'm not taking about 97 unstacked. Purdy doesn't make it to us. Lawrence doesn't make it to us. We could go with Tua, Jared Goff, well before ADP, unstacked for Javonte and Mike. Can't do it. Really, our first option to go quarterback here was in rounds 12 and 13. We were going to have the option to go Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney. And then the team at 2 snipes us from them. So then all of a sudden the plan is, okay, I guess in rounds 14, 15, we're going Baker and Geno, or Baker and Aaron Rodgers, or Geno and Rodgers. That doesn't work out. I mean, literally the only reason that we decided to go through, and I'm so freaking dumb. Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. One, let me point out why I was so dumb. And then the girlfriend's texting me. I don't know if y'all heard that ding that we got to go. I took Quentin Johnston with the thought, oh, Justin Herbert would be interesting. And Justin Herbert was already off the board. I am an idiot. But I think Ethan says you'd get a bigger Airbnb if Katy Perry was there. Katy Perry was there, my friend. I would get a smaller Airbnb. Are you kidding me? I'd go, I'm sorry, Katie. I really tried to get a bigger Airbnb. For whatever reason, Austin's crazy this time of year. I think we're going to have to share a room. And obviously, Katy Perry would be like, oh, well, I get it, Mason. I understand. Actually, I kind of wanted to share a room. And I'd be like, yeah, I know. And it would all work out and we'd live happily ever after. But I got to take the current old hag out tonight. So I will not be with Katy Perry. Instead, I'll be with my girlfriend, Sydney Sweeney. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much for everything. Really appreciate you. Really hope that you have a great day. I'll let you know real quick what we're going to do at the 16-17 turn. We're going to go Will Levis as one of these quarterbacks. We can, I guess, get Tyler Boyd later on. Talk about exciting. And then maybe we go Daniel Jones with some rushing upside. No, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take McCarthy instead. We're going to go McCarthy there. But appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And yeah, really hope I get to draft with you tomorrow.